everyone, how are you doing today? My name is Karina and welcome back to my channel. Today is a declutter video. Now decluttering, I try not to do too much, and with my declutter items I do try to rehome them if people are interested or want them and if they can have them, making sure nothing's expired. But I don't do declutters often because, again, I do want to make use out of it, see if I can find a different way to use it. But if it's too much work, too much hassle, doesn't work for me, is expired, then it's got to go. I'm also someone who has a hard time decluttering simply because it's like, well, I might want it, or what if I regret it, or what if I change my mind, or what if it works for me over my preferences later. But with how much makeup I get, because I am subscribed to BoxyCharm, sometimes it's just time to let go. So this is going to be my second declutter video. The first one I did that was back in January. I've got 5 items here, and it has taken me since that video in January to accumulate 5 items that I do want to declutter from my collection. So without further ado, we're going to talk about the items, the progress, the reasons why I am choosing to declutter these. Some of these, actually 3 of these, you will have seen from projects before, and I will have already probably indicated that they were going to be decluttered. So we'll start with those, but then I have 2 items kind of more from behind the scenes that you haven't seen. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first item, of course, is one that you guys had seen in Partners in Cream. Super reflective packaging, but of course this is the iconic London multi-use sculpting palette. This came to me in BoxyCharm because they were not able to fulfill my choice item. So this was a choice item. I did not pick it, but this is what I received in my box. That is, of course, what the inside of it looks like. So we've got 3 what were kind of like highlighting colors, which I used as concealer, and then we have 3 kind of bronzing colors. And as you guys saw in Partners in Cream, right, I had used up the top 3. So one of them was used up previously before that project, and I worked on the other 2 and got them done, either as spot concealers or under eye concealers. These bronzers here, I'm not a big fan of cream bronzers. I find them difficult to work with, so I just opted not to. I did try them. You can see there is a little bit of usage, but obviously this one's way too deep, and I just didn't like how either of these ones looked. So I have used half the palette, which is awesome. At least I still did get some use out of it, even though it wasn't my preferred way to do my concealer, and it technically wasn't concealer. But now I am going to see if someone else wants these bronzers, or if not, like, they're still within that 18-month mark, so if someone does want them, great. If not, though, right, it's going to go into the garbage, unfortunately. But this palette is the first item that is now going to be leaving my collection. And since I finished using those 3, I haven't even thought about this palette. So no problems So no problems decluttering this guy. This one is harder. This one was in my Use That Eyeshadows project, where I randomize an eyeshadow from my collection, use it 10 times, roll it out. And this is a palette. It also came to from BoxyCharm. This is the Bunder London Natural Goddess palette. And it is a very nice palette. Like, that's the color story here. Temptress was the one I had rolled in, which was great because that meant I could use it with absolutely any of these shadows. But this was on the chopping block for me when I had rolled it into that project. There isn't a crease color in here because I do prefer a matte in the crease besides the blue, which the blue is very patchy, so I don't recommend it. And obviously I could reach into other palettes, but I do tend to prefer to use my palettes holistically. So if I'm reaching into more than one eyeshadow palette, it's because I'm using a single, which obviously you can't do your whole look with, or at least how I do my looks at least. And it is otherwise a beautiful palette, like not super pigmented on any of these, and they do wear off over the course of the day. Like this blue, you have to like reapply like 3 times throughout the day for it to stay. And so like some of these colors, right, they're more on the natural side, so that it does fade nicely. Just, I have so many eyeshadows, and although I do like some of these colors, but they're not worth depotting or attempting to depot them. I'd rather give this away a little bit more holistically. Depending if I'm able to do that or not, maybe I'll depot. But also, is it worth it to depot? Because it's not like any of these colors are like super unique or anything. So it's just a little on the sad side. I'm normally not someone who does a lot of swatches on this channel. Mainly, I don't know, I've got this thing, I don't like digging my fingers into products, especially like eyeshadow. But since I am going to be decluttering this, and we'll see where it does end up, that is what it looks like. Our color story here. So, I mean, they turn up very nicely on the swatch, although you can see, right, that blue, that brown, a little bit on the rougher side, but the shimmers are quite pretty. Gotta be careful not to talk myself back into keeping this palette. But that's the color story of the palette. Again, nothing crazy, unique, or special. And they fade. And with someone with an eyeshadow collection as large as I have, so I think with decluttering this, I'm down to 522 individual pans of eyeshadow. So in my mind, I should use the things I want to reach for, I enjoy reaching for, that perform well. And I did give it quite a few chances. Now, I had rolled this in. I had gotten some good usage on it. I've used it previously. I mean, it shows just a little bit of use in there, not a whole ton, but I have used every shadow in here, and it's just, it's okay. It's okay. And that is why this palette is now going to also leave my collection. I also have a nail polish. So if you have been caught up on my project polish project, you guys would have seen me roll in Beet-ing Heart for the end of April. And this was going to be like a nice spring. It was going to be a nice spring to summer transitional color, although this is not my favorite pink. I prefer, if I'm going to go for like a brighter pink like this, I do want more of that rich vibrancy to it. As you guys saw on that project update as well, this is where I started, and you can see there is a little bit of use. I am down to here now, so a little bit underneath that line, so I did make progress. I did use it 4 times since the beginning of this project, and I had 10 uses, so 14 uses in total to get it down to there. But the problem, again, I wasn't a big fan of the color, but I was going to make it work with toppers. But if you saw that video, you can see what the problem is. I don't mess around with thinners, and this is way too early in a bottle to be doing that anyway. But yeah, it is just so thick. It's so gloopy. It has a hard time drying. It has a hard time layering on top of a base coat. It has a hard time having glitters put on top of it or other polishes. And with that much left, I'm not gonna fuss. I'm not gonna fuss anyway. Like, even if it was down here, I'm not gonna fuss. As soon as it becomes too difficult to work with, especially because I'm not a big fan of this color anyway, it's gonna go, and I'm gonna enjoy other colors instead. So, little hard, but still, it's like, I've got so many nail polishes, I don't need to waste time with one that's formula is not good. It does have a 20-month shelf life. This is about a year old, at absolute most slightly over a year old. So way within that 30-month shelf life from opening. So it's kind of ridiculous that this one has gone off already, especially because I have had other ones like this, not this color, but this line open for years, and they're still performing amazingly. So this one is just gotta go. So those 3 you would have seen in other projects. Now let's talk about the ones behind the scenes that you haven't seen before. And this one is a lipstick that actually probably could have been in my last declutter. Just, it was in my backpack because I had it in there so I could use it whenever I took my backpack out. I kind of forgot about it in there. So this is the Revlon. This is their Super Lustrous lipstick. It's a pearl formula in 407 Rosedew. And I think the pearl formula is why I wasn't super big fan of this color. And I just don't know. I don't think this was the most flattering color for me either. There is obviously some use on this. Like, you can see that very extreme angle there. And it's obviously been worked down. It's also quite angled in there as well. But I wasn't a big fan of this particular color on my lips. So for that reason, like, I did use it, but I didn't love it. So there we have a swatch of it. So again, it's a pretty nice color. So I did like 2-3 swipes there. Just to build it up a little bit for you guys so you can see it. And it's just so like glittery and shiny, and I just don't like that on my lips, right? I like a lot happening on my eyes. I like my lips to be more neutral. It's because I think it's that pearl finish and that glitteriness, and then just the basic color just wasn't the most flattering. So this is actually quite old. And the last time I used it, you know, you get that kind of taste at the back of your throat. So it's like, you know what? No, I am going to be done with this. It is not worth it at this point, especially because lip products, you do end up eating part of that, right? So if it's a lip product that's gone off, and I have had this open for years, I don't want it. It's not worth it. So this one will be going in the garbage because it is past its expiration. And then this is the last product. I don't know much about this particular blush. Obviously, it comes to us from Clarin's. It's in the shade 01. And I'm sure you guys can already see why I've chosen to get rid of it. Because all along this area, we have hard pan. And it's not the first time I've had hard pan on this item. This is the 4th time. And as you guys can see, there's been use, but you can still see the Clarin's logo very easily. So although there's definitely some disturbance, like it is way too early for this to be getting hard pan. And I only got this blush, I believe I got this in February, which is not that long ago. And I did the whole tape trick, which did remove the hard pan, but it did come back really quickly. And so for that reason, I'm not going to try repressing it because obviously there was going to be so much product in there. Like that just, and I have other blushes. So it was a beautiful color. Could really like build it up, which I enjoyed. Try to get a bit of a swatch here for you guys too. All right, so that's the color right there. Really tried to build it up there for you guys. It is very faint. It is that one right there. But you can almost not see, even though I'm going in the section that doesn't have hard pan. I'm really trying to build that up for you guys. But now maybe part of the reason is because it came in this packaging, which I kept it in. But again, like, what am I going to do with this otherwise? Either it's in this packaging or it's out in the air like this. So that's where I've gotten to it. Again, you can see the usage on there. And it's not like it was like a wet brush or anything. Like it's a dry blush brush that I was using. And this is the 4th time. So that's just way too many times, especially for how many blushes I have in my collection. So these are the items that are going to be decluttered. We have an eyeshadow palette. We have a cream palette. We have a blush. We have a nail polish. And we have a lipstick. So quite a range of items this particular time. Again, mainly because, one, they're either gone off, these two, plus the hard pan issues over here. I don't use these kind of products, or this color story and the formula just isn't performing the way I need it to. But that is everything. That is the end of this declutter video for us today. So thank you so much for joining me for it. Again, where I can, I'll try to get new homes for these items and see if people want them. Because I would like to try to reduce waste, especially within the cosmetics realm. And it's probably going to be quite a number of months again until we see the next declutter. So again, whenever I accumulate another 5 products, I'll be back and share it with you then. But thank you so much for joining me today. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will see you guys for my next video very soon. Have a wonderful day.